worried about the 12 people outside that are trying to get in, and people that are texting me saying, hey, I need this, I need that. And I every single day of the year, I get between 10 and 50 messages from people saying, hey, I need money for this, I need money for that, my kids got cancer, my this, my that.
People you've interviewed?
Yeah, people I've interviewed. They all need something, and there's always an excuse why they need it. And I have to deal with that all the time. I just bought a second phone so I can kind of split the two, because at some point it just becomes ridiculous for me.
Do the stories ever affect you personally, emotionally? I mean, obviously when you're producing them, you're worried about a slew of different things, mechanically and visually, audio, everything. But after you edit them and you post them, do they ever kind of hit?
Yeah, there are certain people that just really, you see how terrible their lives have been, and your heart can't not go out to them. I'm human, so it's like when LaToya tells me her story and how horrible her childhood was, her whole life still is, man, my heart just, when I see her on the street and she comes over, I just grab my wallet and say, what do you need, honey? Let me help you. Because I just, what am I going to say? I can't help you today?
Right.
So I do, and I do it all the time. And I can't cure her childhood. I don't have the ability to do that. If I could, I would, but I can't. And we can't cure all these. I mean, that's the tragedy of all these stories. It's like people will use common sense, and their heart's in the right place, but they see these stories and like, Mark, you didn't help this person? Like, they're not helpable.
You're not trying to help them, right?
I mean, I do a lot of that kind of stuff, but I don't want this to become a help channel.
Right.
Like, my channel is not about, we're going to save so-and-so, we're going to make them all better, we're going to patch them all up and fix them up, and they're going to live happily ever after.
You can't go back in time. You're trying to repair something.
You're trying to repair a childhood. You're trying to repair what happened to her at 6 years old, and that's deep in her subconscious. And how do I fix her subconscious? I don't even know. I don't even know how to do that.
By trying to stop it happening to future people.
That's my take on it. It's like, it seems like preventing it from happening to the next generation would be the best attack on this. It may not fix LaToya, but it'll perhaps fix her kids that are being raised by somebody else, and maybe it won't happen to them. But I mean, I've seen firsthand what it's like to try to help these people. It's so much work. It takes all your time, money, focus, energy to try. It takes a team of people to try to help one person, and it still doesn't work. And everybody says, you just do a GoFundMe for somebody. All you're doing is throwing cash at somebody who's got a drug problem in most of these cases, or some other type of problem, and that money doesn't get spent in the proper ways. And you could argue that, then you handle the money and you spend this and then make sure it goes in the right place. Look, I'm one guy. I'm one guy operating all these cameras, traveling, doing all this stuff all by myself, not making money doing it. And you want me to help so-and-so while you sit on your sofa watching YouTube videos, saying, why don't you help this person? I'm like, come on.
You are a madman. You said you shot 10 videos yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. I do that a lot.
That's insane. That's fucking insane. I do one of these a week. Maybe I record 2 a week, but I only post 1 a week.
No, that's what I said. I'm intense. I'm wound up, man.
What is it about you that makes you such a hard worker and make you want to put out so much content? Like, I mean, you said yourself that you're not like a big social media guy. So you're obviously not doing it to feed some sort of algorithm.
I wish I was doing something other than social media, but I don't even know what that would be. Like photography, I do a very vertical portrait. It's a special format that I came up with to do a full-length human portrait. So the perspective, the ratios are basically what a human body is, a 6 foot tall person roughly.
Right.
And I had cameras custom made for that and all that, and that's a very vertical image that doesn't fit into a wide format like YouTube or a square one like Instagram or anything else that's on social media. They all don't work well with a vertical image. So what do I do? So I do that pan, which is a huge compromise, but what else do I do? And to me, the photography is more important than the portrait. I mean, than the interview. The portrait's more important than the interview.
For you?
For me.
Really?
For me. If I had to choose one or the other, I would do the photography.
Why? There's so much more in the interview, I feel like.
No, I know. I see the value in the interview, and everyone else does too, and I get that, and I see that that's important to the audience.
Don't get me wrong, the photography is beautiful.
The photography, I'm very proud of. The interviews, not so much. The early ones, I didn't put any effort into them. I didn't care about the audio. I didn't care about how the background looked or anything looked. I just pointed a camera. If it was out of focus, I almost didn't care because I really wanted to put zero effort into the video to make sure that what I was doing is highlight. It's all about the portrait for me. And if the interview could just be audio only, sit behind the portrait, that would be cool for me. I'd be happy with that. But I started doing the videos the way I do them. But as time went on, I kind of all right, let me make it look a little bit better. It's hard to look at that, and it's hard to listen to it because the audio is so bad, especially at my Skid Row studio where there's so much background noise. It's awful, terrible. I mean, the noise and the sirens and the people in the background and the music and all the crazy shit that goes on. It's hard to do audio there. But the reason I'm there, people would say, "Oh, why don't you just get a studio that's quieter somewhere away from Skid Row?" I have to be right in the heart of all the action in order to get the people to be willing to come in, open up their hearts and souls and their their subconscious basically to share those stories and feel free that they can run out if they have to.
Right.
Or at least when they're done, they feel free. But if they have to drive over here and do the talk, I would get much more stifled interviews. I wouldn't get the same kind of content.
You're always changing your approach.
Yeah, I'm always changing my approach. But I learned something recently that was just so heavy and so important, and I'm still processing it today. I don't want to name any names, and she's not on my channel, but there was somebody that I wanted to help, that I wanted to interview, but she wouldn't do it. But I wanted to help, and she calls me one day and says, "You know what? I could use your help. I'd like to get out of this life." And I said, "Sure, that's cool. Let me help you out, but I just want you to know there are no strings attached here. I'm not your sugar daddy. I'm just going to help you. Mm-hmm. You're not obligated to me in any way.
Right.
Just want you to know that right up front. I'm not, it's not a this for that. You're not trading this for anything. I'm just going to help you. I want to make that clear." And I said, I was busy that day shooting or whatever. And I said, let me call you tonight. And sounded like this is because I'm eternally hopeful. I'm the most optimistic, hopeful person I've ever met. Like no matter what obstacles there are, I believe they can all be overcome, no matter what they are. Mm-hmm. And that's a great quality to have. So this seemed to be, again, it's these are all long shots because very few people actually climb out of these situations. But I'm hopeful. So let's give this a try. And she seemed to have a lot of potential, like a lot of potential. Like you can fix your life so beautifully. I saw it so clearly. And she and I talked about it and so on. So I was going to call her that night. So I called that night and she's like, not around. That was weird. This is an important phone call.
She have a cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And never was able to connect with again. Some weird little text came back. So, I had an emergency or whatever. And so we never connected. And then I saw her on the street again shortly after that. And she runs away from me. Like avoids me. Like I'm like a like I'm a rapist or something. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Never had any weirdness happen in the interactions between us. And it was just weird. I'm like, what would make somebody do that? And it continues to this day. I saw her before this trip and like just treating me like I was like the devil. And I talked with some other people that do what she does, and they said, "Oh, it could be this, it could be that," and those all hold water. But I honestly believe what it is. Sometimes you have to follow your intuition, and your intuition can tell you a lot. And my intuition on this one is, you sometimes people just can't accept good in their lives. You just can't. And I represent good because I told her, I'm going to help you out. This is going to be just to help you out. It's free. It's not going to be like you're trading. You're not buying anything. I'm just helping. And she rejected it so hard and heavy. So it's like I'm evil. Like I'm representing something that's just so foreign and bad. Right. And I think what it is like when you go through child abuse, which maybe she went through, maybe she didn't, but my suspicion is maybe there is something there. Because you don't end up in that kind of lifestyle if you didn't have something terrible go on. That your brain, the wires in your brain get rewired, mm-hmm. and what's good is of no use, and what's bad becomes what you go after, and everything is crisscrossed, and it's like So you end up making terrible decisions. You end up in a lifestyle that's really dangerous and self-destructive, and you go nowhere in life. And eventually you probably get involved in drugs or depression or something worse. And that's where I fell in. I just didn't represent any of that bad stuff. I was just like looking to help out,
Right.
without any strings attached. And you get crapped on for it. And that I understand that, because forgiveness is the most important thing in the world to me.